Man, if all these movies stick to their release dates, this is going to be a hell of a year. So now that 2021 is over and we are officially on to 2022, it's time to stop looking back. It's time to move forward and rank my top 10 most anticipated movies of 2022. Starting right off the bat with number 10 is going to be Top Gun Maverick. Now, I am not a big fan of the first one. I think it's pretty overrated. I certainly think there's some level of enjoyment to be had, cheesy fun, and also the soundtrack is quite good. I listen to it a lot. But I don't think it's a very good movie, if I'm being honest. That said, there's certainly potential for a sequel, and the trailers for this movie have looked great ever since it came out in 2019 or whatever. Tom Cruise, I'll watch anything he does. He's very committed. He does all of his stunts for the most part. He learned how to fly. And Top Gun is certainly a concept that we can carry into the current time, and I think they can probably do better in the current time than they did back then and maybe lose some of the cheese of it and make it an overall better movie, which I'm thinking will probably happen. So Top Gun Maverick is my number 10. Number 9 is going to be Jurassic World Dominion. This is a weird one for me because I actually quite enjoyed the first Jurassic World. I'm one of the people that I enjoy it for what it is. I think it's a very fun popcorn flick. I don't really understand why so many people straight up hate it and call it a bad movie. That's never really clicked for me. I've always thought that was weird. Now, Fallen Kingdom, on the other hand, I don't think it's a very good movie, and I have quite a few issues with it. I came out liking it, but the more I've thought about it, the more time has gone on. I've certainly some of the issues have started to show themselves to me. So I like the idea of the dinosaurs being integrated into the real world. I think it's a fun idea, and I'll see what they do with it in this movie. I'm not super convinced. I'm not super optimistic that they're going to pull it off well based on what happened in Fallen Kingdom. So that's why my expectations are tempered a little bit, and that's why it's number 9. But anytime there are dinosaurs walking around, killing people, I'll have fun with that. So Jurassic World Dominion is number 9. Number 8 is going to be Creed 3. Now, this movie certainly could be higher. I love the first two Creeds, especially the first one. I think it's the best movie in the entire Rocky franchise. But I don't know anything about this movie, aside from the fact that Michael B. Jordan is apparently directing, which is cool. Has he directed anything before? I'm not sure, but I'm sure he'd do a great job. I'm interested to see what he would do with it. I still don't know anything about the movie, and it's also disconnected from Rocky now, which is fine. I think Creed 2 ended Rocky's storyline in a very satisfying way. But I also don't exactly know where they're going to go from here. So that's why it's the uncertainty is the reason why it's number 8. So Creed 3 sits at number 8. Number 7 is going to be Black Panther Wakanda Forever. And this is another one to me that could have been higher if it wasn't for some of the uncertainty. I'm not entirely sure it's actually going to come out this year. It's had a lot of production issues with the Letitia Wright, with her anti-vax stuff, and having to hold things up because of that. And now are they going to recast her? What are they going to do? Because apparently she was probably going to be the next Black Panther. In Chadwick Boseman's passing, R.I.P. I am one of the few people that actually thinks that T'Challa should be recast. I know there's a big movement for that. That's a conversation for another time. But I certainly think that's a direction they should have gone. I don't know what they're going to do now with all the Letitia Wright problems. I think she got fired from Marvel, so I don't know if this movie's actually going to come out this year. That's why it's at number 7. Otherwise, it probably would be higher because Ryan Coogler is a great director. Feige, I always trusted him, and the first Black Panther movie was great. So Black Panther Wakanda Forever is number 7. 6 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. This is the second Spider-Verse movie, and I think it's going to be a trilogy since this one's called Part 1, then Part 2 is going to cap off the trilogy, I'm assuming. The only reason this movie isn't higher is, again, it's not one that I know a ton about. I love the first movie. I thought it's great. I think it's the best Spider-Man movie. So fun, so entertaining, so funny, so creative and inventive with the animation style. Miles Morales is a great character, bringing in all the other Spider-Man. I loved all that. I just don't know a ton about this movie, so that's why it's number 6, and I'm certainly looking forward to it. I think it's going to be great, but the movies ahead of it, I just have slightly more excitement for, maybe because I just know a little bit more about them or they're closer to their release. So Spider-Man Across Spider-Verse Part 1 is my number 6. Number 5 is going to be Mission Impossible 7. I am a big fan of the Mission Impossible franchise. I'm a big fan of Tom Cruise, as I said before. I am definitely more looking forward to this than I am for Top Gun Maverick because I like the Mission Impossible movies much more than I like Top Gun. I think they're great, except for the second one, and they've shown no signs of slowing down. Some people think they've gotten better as they went along. I certainly would not argue with that. I think Fallout was my favorite of all of them. Christopher McQuarrie is directing these last two, I think, 7 and 8. he's done the last two or three, I think two, which were both great, and they keep the franchise stays fresh. It's certainly they're not repeating action sequences and storylines, and it's not just a straight up action franchise. They also have good stories and good character arcs, and they make you think. So that's why I really, really enjoy these movies, and there's some cool people being added to the cast, like Haley Atwell and Pom Klementieff. So Mission Impossible 7 is my number 5. Obviously, there's been some production issues, been delayed a lot, but it seems like it's going to come out this year, and I can't wait. Number 4 is a movie that I'm going to see in about a week now, and that's Scream. First of all, can they stop naming sequels long after the original the same name as the original? That's really annoying. Aside from that, I'm really looking forward to this movie. I love the Scream franchise. The first one is great. I like the second one. I like the fourth one. Third one, not so much. But overall, I think it's a very solid horror franchise and probably one of my favorite horror franchises, if not my favorite. Trailers have looked great. And I like the idea of where they're going to take this movie with the returning cast, but also there's some new characters, and the new protagonist is Samantha, played by Melissa Barrera, who, if you saw my top 10 video and heard me talk about In the Heights, you know how much I love her and how much of a crush I have on her. So can't wait for that. They're using the people from Ready or Not because Wes Craven has passed, and this will be the first movie that he is not involved in for Scream. I did not like Ready or Not, but I see the potential there, and I certainly see that these people could be good for a Scream movie, and everything I've seen and heard about it so far, I think it's going to be great. And they're taking it a little bit more serious direction as opposed to some of the more meta nature of the other Scream movies, which I'm okay with as long as they don't completely get rid of the meta. I think there's a nice balance to find there, but I think there's room for a more serious Scream movie. So, and that's what the trailers are making it seem like, but I can't wait. It looks awesome, and I hope it's going to be one of my favorites in the franchise. Certainly could be. Scream, number 4. So number 3 is going to be Thor, Love and Thunder. I'm an MCU fanboy. I love Thor, especially since Ragnarok, where they kind of did a soft reboot of the character, and then his arc in Infinity War and Endgame. I'm a defender of Fat Thor. I think it is a great thing to do with his character. It was a logical continuation based on everything that he went through. And I understand some people's issues with it, thinking they went too far, but I thought it was great and it made perfect sense and was a great encapsulation of depression and all the anxiety and all the stuff that he had to go through. So I can't wait to see what they do with him next. They teamed him up with the Guardians at the end of Endgame. Now, I'm not sure what they're going to do with that because Love and Thunder doesn't seem to be about the Guardians much, so it's interesting that that's where they left things and that's not where it's going to go in the future. I'm sure they'll figure it out. But everything else I'm seeing about this movie, Christian Bale's in it, Russell Crowe is in it. I would have never guessed that they would join the MCU, so that's surprising and cool. They're two of my favorite actors. Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie's returning. I think Lady Sif is going to be back. The only part that I'm a little bit iffy about is Jane Foster and the idea of her becoming like Lady Thor. We'll see how they execute it. I know it has roots in the comics. It has precedent from the comics, so I understand that, but I don't love the idea of that, and I guess we'll see how they execute it in the movie. I always trust Feige, and Taika Waititi is a great director. He's one of my favorite working directors today. So Thor: Love and Thunder, I'm sure, is going to be a ton of fun. I can't wait. That's my number 3. Yes! Number 2, and this is a tough one because my top 2 were very close, and I'm very excited for both of them for different reasons. But I chose number 2, and it's going to be The Batman. It was very close, and I'll explain when I get to my number 1 why that's number 1. But this movie looks incredible. Batman is probably my favorite comic book character of all time. In fact, he might be my favorite character of all time, my favorite fictional character of all time. That's how much I love Batman. And Robert Pattinson looks like he's great for the role. The trailers have looked amazing. The new casting for the villains, like Colin Farrell and Paul Dano, and then you get Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman. Jeffrey Wright as Gordon, Andy Serkis as Alfred. All looks great. The trailers have looked incredible. It looks like it's got the right tone. Matt Reeves is a perfect fit for this movie. I loved his Planet of the Apes movie, so I absolutely cannot wait for the Batman. But it's not my number 1, and I'll explain that in a second. My number 1 is going to be Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Now, it was very, very close between this and the Batman. And there's a lot of reasons why I'm very much looking forward to each one of them. I'm an MCU fanboy. I've said that already. Wanda is one of my favorite characters in the MCU. This movie is such a cool and crazy idea, the idea of the multiverse and not really knowing where it's going to go. And that's the reason that it has a slight edge over the Batman, is the mystery and the intrigue of having no idea what's really going to happen in this movie. And I think they're going to keep things under wraps because there's going to be a lot of secrets and a lot of reveals throughout this movie that they don't want people to know about. So I'm going to be very careful when navigating the internet until it comes out. But the teaser trailer we got for it looked great. I can't wait. We get Mordo again. Of course, Doctor Strange and Wong and Shumagorath, and then the evil Doctor Strange from What If. So many moving parts, and we don't exactly know who's going to be good and who's going to be bad. Maybe that could change throughout the movie. So many reasons why I can't fucking wait for this movie. This is a movie that probably the MCU movie that I'm looking forward to the most since Endgame. Even more than No Way Home. I said that in my No Way Home review, that I think Doctor Strange 2, I'm looking forward to even more. So this is going to be incredible. It's going to be crazy. I really don't know what's going to happen, and that's why Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness is my number one most anticipated movie for 2022. There you have it, guys. There's my top 10 most anticipated movies for 2022. What movies are you guys looking forward to? I know there's going to be some that I left off this list that you're going to be mad about that are going to be on your list. See it in the comments. What did I forget? I didn't forget anything, but there are certain things that I left off for a reason, and maybe we can start a conversation about that in the comments. Drop your most anticipated movies of the year and why I'm wrong, so we can have a discussion about it. And guys, if you enjoyed this video, enjoy my content, hit the like button, please. Likes are very helpful to YouTube channels. If you enjoy my content in general, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified when I post a video. And I got some cool stuff coming. I've promised some new, unique videos, and trust me, those are coming. It's probably the next thing I'm going to work on after this, and then maybe I'll also do... Oh, no, I'm going to do my Scream franchise review series and then ranking as well. So after that, I'll get working on the other stuff. So trust me, there's some fun stuff coming, and I can't wait. So stay tuned, guys. We'll see you soon.